I was on a beach vacation last week, and as a weight loss coach, I actually gained weight on that vacation. And the truth is, it's not because I messed up. I want to talk about three different points that I think are incredibly important and that I was reminded of when I was on the vacation last week, and why I gained weight and what I did afterwards to make sure that everything was going to be okay. If you don't know who I am, my name is Eddie. I lost over 125 pounds. I've kept that weight off now for over 22 years. And what I do now is work with entrepreneurs, executives, busy professionals that want to drop weight. We have a system to help you do that in 90 days. If you're interested, the link is in the description. But let's talk about the three different things that I was reminded of as I was going through this week of vacation and being around all of this extra stuff that I'm not used to being around. The first point that I want to touch on is the fact that your food environment is really going to set the tone. Now, I was around a lot of different ultra processed foods that I'm not used to being around anymore. I was around Cape Cod potato chips, which are some of my favorites in terms of snacks that are unhealthy. I was around ice cream. I was around a bunch of alcohol. I was around cakes, cookies, you name it. There was a ton of different foods that I was around that I wasn't used to being around. And the truth is that a lot of these ultra processed foods, they're designed in a laboratory to make you want to eat more of them. They're hyper palatable, and they have this way of kind of rewarding your dopamine system. Your dopamine system is the system that is the reward center in your brain. And these foods are meant to kind of hit on that system, on that dopamine reward system, so that you just want more and more and more and more. And if you look at studies, I pulled up a study, they've shown that people on average will eat about 500 extra calories if they're only eating ultra processed foods. That's why a lot of people say if you stick with whole foods, you're going to be better off. And so the first thing that I noticed is when I was on this beach vacation, I was around all this different food that I'm not used to being around. And even me as a health coach, I overate that stuff because it hit my dopamine centers, and I just wanted more of those Cape Cod potato chips. Those are some of my favorites. And it was really, really hard for me to stop eating once I had had a few, because once I had had a few, it's like the old Lay's commercial. If you're old enough, I'm in my 40s now, if you're old enough to remember the old Lay's commercial that said, once you have one, you can't stop. You want another and another. I forget what it said, but that's what happens with these hyperpalatable, ultra-processed foods. And that's what happened with me and these chips and these pastries and all these different sweets that were around. And so I noticed that, and it was a good reminder of, hey, your food environment is so much more important than your willpower. Don't ever rely on willpower. Rely on your environment and rely on the food that you have at home. Because if you rely on your willpower to stay away from certain foods and you have all this junk at home, eventually you're going to cave in and you're going to eat it. My tip to you as a coach that helps people lose weight is to avoid temptation. It's not to rely on willpower. It's to just simply avoid temptation by not having that stuff in the house. If you have a food that you're crazy about that you can't have at home because you'll overeat it or you binge eat it or whatever, just drop it in the comments and let me know what food that is. For me, it's Cape Cod potato chips for sure. I have a little bit of that and I cannot stop, and I want more and more and more. The second thing that I want to talk about is how I wasn't trying to be perfect while I was on vacation, because I was on vacation. And so that's not a time to be super strict with your diet and with what you're eating and what you're drinking and everything. Like, yeah, I had some red wine on one of the days, the last day that we were there. I probably had a little too much red wine, to be honest. And I felt it the day after because I'm not used to drinking that much. And because my system is kind of used to clean eating and not a lot of alcohol, I really felt it the next day. But we had a good time. We were with family. We had a good time. It was a bunch of people. It was like 15 people in the house, and we were all kind of, just enjoying the week. We had a beach vacation. We were enjoying all the things that come with being on vacation. I didn't think that I went overboard, and I tried to control myself for the rest of the week. The first couple of days were rough, but then after that, I tried to control myself. But the lesson here is, don't try to be perfect while you're on vacation, whether you're traveling to another country or whether you're just going on a beach vacation a couple hours away like I did. Like, I'm not trying to be perfect because I'm on vacation. I'm there to enjoy it. And so if you're going to go on vacation, it's not the right time to be in some kind of a calorie deficit. It's not the right time to be trying to lose fat. You could do it, but you're going to have a hard time, and you might as well just enjoy the foods that you're around. Doesn't mean you have to go overboard. It doesn't mean you have to binge eat on any foods, but you don't want to hold yourself to this high, strict standard and try to be perfect when you're on vacation and your environment isn't set up for you to be perfect. My tip for you would be, a few days of inconsistency is not going to derail you from weeks and months of being consistent. If you've been consistent, if you've been doing the right things, then 7 days of vacation, which is what I was on, is not going to undo months and years of being consistent for the most part with my drinking, with my diet, with all of the stuff that I'm consistent with my health overall, right? A week is not going to undo all of that stuff. So just might as well just enjoy and just kind of get back on track afterwards. The third and last thing that I want to touch on is the fact that not all weight gain is fat gain. And so what I mean by that is, your vacation weight gain is going to come from just eating extra salt, which is going to draw in more water into your cells, eating extra carbs. Probably typically people kind of, when they binge eat, like me, I was eating a lot of potato chips, for example, and cakes and cookies and ice cream. That's a lot of carbs, and a lot of that stuff is going to draw in extra water. A lot of those ultra processed foods have a lot of sodium. They're high in sodium so that they can give you that, they can hit that reward center in your brain, and they can taste good, and the texture and everything. So all of that stuff is going to draw in a lot of water. So chances are, your most of your weight gain is not going to be fat. It's just going to be added sodium into your diet, added carbs into your diet, which means added water into your body. And once you get back, the number one thing to do is to just get back to your routine. As soon as I got back on a Saturday, and that Saturday, we left on Saturday morning, and that Saturday, I was already back to my regular routine. I was eating the regular things that I eat, my regular lunch, my regular breakfast, my regular dinner. The next day, the other thing that I took advantage of was, because I had a lot of those extra calories, I had a hard strength workout, right? You want to make sure that you take that extra energy and you try to pull it into your muscle. So I had a good, long strength training workout to try to get myself not only, from a physiology perspective, just kind of to help my muscles grow, right? Because I have all of that extra calories that I had consumed, but also from a psychological perspective to just get myself back into the right mindset of, all right, it's time to hit it hard again. It's time to work out. It's time to eat healthy. And so the number one thing that I would say, and my coaching tip to you would be, after your vacation, no matter how good or bad or whatever it went, no matter whether you went off and binge, ate, something that you didn't want to eat, whatever it is, don't worry about it. Just forget about it. Put it behind you. Like I said, 1 week or a few days of bad eating is not going to undo weeks and months and years of consistently being healthy. So don't worry about it. Put it behind you. Do not fall into this guilt trip that people give themselves, where then they want to go overboard on the exercise and overboard on the cardio and overboard, and they treat exercise like a punishment. Don't do that. Just go right back to your regular routine, right back to your strength training sessions, 1 to 3 sessions of full body strength training a week. Go back to your walking or whatever it is that you like to do for cardio, and go back to your healthy eating. Go back to your main meals that you typically eat throughout the week. And you'll notice that your body will eventually adjust and you'll be fine. If you need help with weight loss, I have a 90-day program. The link is in the description. You'll be able to work directly with me to help you get to your goals. Click the link in the description and you'll get a little more information there. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and share. And I do these videos once a week. If you have any ideas for stuff that you want me to cover in future videos, just drop it in the comments as well. Cheers. I hope you have a great one, and I'll see you on the next one.